What's up, weekenders? I'm Corbin and welcome to my channel, and today we're deleting something off of my Bronco. Yeah, I said we're deleting something off of my Bronco, and if you've installed an aftermarket rear bumper or are running 37s, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and that's the crash bar body mounts that Ford put on these Broncos. Now these things are huge, they look terrible. If you have an aftermarket rear bumper, they stick out, and it's pretty much all you can see off the side of your bumper. And then if you're running 37s, they will actually rub pretty bad on these, to the point where people have to trim them down or delete them another way entirely. So that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to be installing the Lobo Off-Road Brace and Erase Kit. Yeah, so Lobo Off-Road came out with a brace kit that will also erase that. So what the bracing does is it's actually going to support your bumper mount frame horns, which have a tendency to rotate in certain load scenarios, especially if you're putting load more upward on your tow hooks. These bumpers get pretty weak in the mounting department. So Lobo Off-Road came up with a cool way to brace that and delete that ugly crash bar at the same time, so that you can run bigger tires without rubbing. So this is going to be a little bit more of an in-depth install. It's probably going to take a little while, so grab a friend, book an afternoon, grab some beers, and yeah, we're going to jump right into this. Let's get this guy installed. Okay, so before we start pulling apart the Bronco, let's take a look at what we have here. Off to the right, we're gonna have the actual crash bar delete brackets. These are also gonna be what the body mount mounts to, and the outer side of the Bronco, so the outboard side of either side. It will actually support your frame horns up to the front here. So this is going to be your outboard side brackets, and then off to the left we're going to have the inboard side brackets, which is between the two of these. They're actually going to sandwich your frame to support it, and then it will also support your frame horns. Up here we have the hardware, so you're going to have some heavy-duty hardware that's going to go through your frame, and then you'll actually have new bumper mounting bolts. Those will actually bolt into the frame horn, so we'll go over that once we get started. But first step is we need to take off these wheels and tires, so we're going to get this guy jacked up and get this thing going. So the next step is going to be to take off the bumper and the skid plate, so that we can get access to the frame rails on the inside, and then we can start chopping off this ugly crash bar mount. Should go. Dusty.
You hear the wrench back there?
No way, dude. Okay, so on the back of the frame rail, you're gonna see this factory nut plate, and there's also a little tab in here that you need to unscrew. So we're gonna unscrew this guy and pull out that factory nut plate. Any day. There we go.
Nice little J-rig going on. Yeah.
Okay, so before we start cutting off these crash bar mounts, you have to support the body, because these are also the body mounts. So if you were to just cut these off without supporting the front half of the body would kind of sag forward and you wouldn't be able to get it back on. So underneath where your skid plate is, you're looking for this frame rail right here. Now you can just get a jack underneath here, maybe with a 2x4, and put some pressure on this, and then we can go ahead and move forward with this install.
Great.
Yeah, you're good. Keep going. Right there. All right, now that the body's supported, we're gonna take off this body mount bolt. It's right up underneath here.
I got you. I already did it.
All right, so once the body's supported and everything's removed, including the body mount bolt, you can go ahead and we're gonna chop the frame off. So you're gonna wanna use a metal blade sawzall, and the part that's actually welded is only off to the forward side. It's like a little square. I'll show you after we cut it, but it shouldn't be too difficult, so. Nice. So you can see what I was talking about, where it's only actually welded on that one square part and the rest of the actual body mount is not attached. It's kind of weird design by Ford. You're gonna go ahead and take your rubber body mounts because we're gonna reuse them on the new one. Before we put the new bracket on, you're gonna wanna make this nice and flush. So you're gonna wanna use a flat disc sanding wheel on a grinder, and we're gonna just shave this nice and flush. Then we'll put some spray paint on it, let it dry for a little bit, and then we'll go ahead and continue. Okay, so once we get the frame rail chopped off, we're gonna go ahead and install the body mounts into the Lobo off-road brackets. You're just gonna take your old body mounts and kind of fish them in there and put it back together. Once that's back together, you can go ahead and bolt it back up into place. You're gonna have to kind of shimmy it in place to get it to line up with one of the welded on screws that's on the frame rail there. And then we can go ahead and start bolting it together. Once that's in place, we're gonna take the backside bracket, which is gonna sandwich the frame rail, and we're gonna snake that up in onto the other side of the frame rail also, and then it will all bolt together. So let's go ahead and get this started. Okay, so once you get both brackets installed on the frame rail, you're gonna notice that you can't get the bolt in from this side. You're gonna have to go in from the back side or the inside of the frame rail. You'll see the bolt can fit up in there nicely, and then you'll be able to go through and actually tighten up the nut from this side. So we're gonna go ahead and do that now. And you'll also notice that there is a bolt hole that does not have a hole. That is optional. You only need 2 bolts through the frame rail. If you want to run 3, you can go ahead and drill that out, but this is plenty strong enough without it, so I'm going to leave it without. I don't think I'm going to need it, so we're going to go ahead, we're going to install these bolts. All right, so in the kit, you're also gonna notice these plates that have nuts built into them. You're gonna notice one has 2 and one has 1 nut. So how this is gonna bolt through, these guys are gonna sit on the back side of your frame rail up inside the bracket. So on the outboard one, you're gonna have 1, and then the one that has 2 will go on the inboard side. When you install them, you're gonna wanna make sure that this little welded on washer is facing the front of the Bronco. So you want them facing, if I can get my hand right, so you want them facing this way, because there is, if you can see up inside of there, there's a little screw right there that those are gonna screw into. So you're gonna take this guy here, and you're gonna slide it onto that little screw standoff that's welded onto your frame horn, and then you're gonna use the provided bolt to screw it down. I know it's kind of hard to see, but I'll show you it when it's finished. And all right, I got it all tightened up. All the bolts are tight, including the one here on the back. All that's left is to put the front bumper back on, tighten everything up, and we're good to go. One other thing that we're gonna do is I'm actually gonna cut off that rear frame rail. We're here, might as well do it. So I'm gonna cut off that rear crash bar, and then we'll be done. We're gonna tidy up, and that's it. And all right, guys, that's gonna do it for the Lobo Off-Road Brace and Erase Kit for your crash bars on your 21 and up Ford Bronco. Now these guys, they did take a little while. It took me about 5 hours to do. Granted, that was with filming and hanging out with some of my buddies. So if you're dedicated, you probably get this done in 3 or 4 hours. It's not too bad of an install. It is a little bit in depth because you need to take apart your front bumper and such. But nonetheless, it wasn't too bad, but the results are awesome. I mean, just take a look at it. I mean, you can't see the crash bar at all. If I ever go up to 37s, which I might here soon, there will be no rubbing involved, which is going to be great. And then also, it's bracing your front bumper. Unlike some of the other options out there that you can get that will do a similar kind of thing to this, this is actually going to brace your front bumper or your front frame horns and prevent them from bending. So you're kind of getting a 2-for-1 deal here. A third thing that it kind of does is the other options actually use your intercooler mount, which is bolts that go underneath the skid plate. So if you were actually to use that kit, you would theoretically lower your skid plate a little bit, hence giving you a little bit less ground clearance. This kit does not do that. It actually uses bolt holes in the frame, so that's another bonus. But I hope this install helped you out a little bit. Lobo does have install instructions on their website that you can go off of. They're super in depth, and that's what we followed. So with that being said, guys, thank you for the support. Don't forget to leave a like, and don't forget to comment. Let me know if you guys think that these are cool, but we'll catch you guys at the next waypoint.